And welcome back. It's Jason Walty here. And again, welcome to my temporary office here. I want to talk about the housing markets in Boise, Idaho, as well as Denver, Colorado in today's video. Give you the latest trends we're seeing right now regarding home prices, housing inventory, and of course, price reductions, and much, much more. So I have a lot to share in today's video. Hope you guys get a lot of value out of today's video. And of course, if you do, please hit the like button. I appreciate that. I said that very quickly. Anyways, let's talk about the Boise housing market update, and they're going to talk about what's happening right now in Denver, Colorado. I'm going to compare how this year compares to years past, going back to 2019. So let's first talk about Boise, Idaho, and let's talk about new listings. Then we'll talk about housing inventory, pending home sales, price reductions, and then home prices at the end of this video here. So the most recent data we have from Redfin is actually for the 4 weeks ended December 4th this year. So new listings are actually up by 20.3% on a year-over-year basis, which is actually pretty interesting because on a national level, we're seeing huge decreases in new listings compared to the same time period 1 year ago, down by double digits to be exact. So new listings are up by 20.3% compared to the same time period 2021. So new listings up by 20%. Let's have a look at active listings, which of course is housing supply or housing inventory, or the total number of houses available for sale. There's a bunch of different ways in order to say housing inventory here. So active listings in Boise are up by 4.80% compared to 2021. And by the way, the black line right here is 2022, the orange line is 2021, a red line is 2020, and the blue line is 2019. So active listings, which of course is housing inventory, is up by 4.8% on a year-over-year basis. So more or less very, very close to 2021's levels, but still much higher compared to 2020, and of course much lower compared to 2019. Because right now there's approximately 3,000 houses for sale. Compare that to 2019, there's approximately 3,800 houses for sale. So that 4.8% increase on a year-over-year basis here is actually much less than we saw during the summer months, because back in the summer months, we were seeing gains in the range of 7% to around 13% on a year-over-year basis. Let's also have a look at the number of pending home sales. And Redfin only provides listing updates. That's from moving from a house for sale into pending home sale status. In other words, when the home seller accepted an offer from home buyer. So take a look at this. Pending home sales, according to Redfin here, for Boise are down a whopping 46.9%, meaning we have approximately 47% fewer pending home sales or fewer pending home sale updates compared to the same time period last year. So we're seeing a decrease of pendings, we're seeing an increase of new listings, and a small increase of active listings according to Redfin right here. Let's also have a look at closed home sales. Again, though, this is a lagging indicator, though, what our housing market was like approximately 1 and 2 months ago, because this is based on closed home sales. So closed home sales are actually down a whopping 43.2% on a year-over-year basis, far below 2019, 2021, and of course 2020 as well. Only about 200 houses that sold during this time frame. Back in 2019, for example, there was 332 houses that sold. It's also interesting to see that the number of home sales has been declining compared to years past ever since more or less May of this year. So home sales have been declining greatly, much lower compared to the past few years here. And let's also have a look at the share of price reductions in Boise according to altosresearch.com. So Boise, Idaho, have a look at this. Only a slight seller's advantage there. And look at this. The share of price reductions in Boise is at, wow, 70%, basically 69.88%, more or less 70%. This is pretty wild because the national average, according to Altos, is approximately 43% and not 70%. The share has been increasing. It's still increasing, but not as much as it once did, though, because look at this. Back in, let's call it May of this year, all the way until we hit August, the share of price reductions absolutely skyrocketed, because look at this. Back on May 6th, the share was 26%, and more or less, 3 months later, the share jumped to 61%. But over the past 4 months, though, the share has only increased from 61% up to about 69%. At 69.88% though, this is much higher compared to last year though, when the share was approximately 46%. And back in 2020, look at this, how low it was. Look at that, 19%, whereas it's 70% right now. And back in pre-COVID, back in 2019, the share was approximately 31%. So the share of price reductions we're seeing right now is far higher compared to the past few years here in Boise, Idaho. Let's also have a look at home prices in Boise. It's right here. This is based on houses that actually have closed escrow. So again, this is the lagging indicator. And look at that. Wow. Okay, so this is interesting. So the median sold price is down 2% on a year-over-year basis. So the median sold price in Boise is at $474,000. Back on January 1st, it was $487,000. Wow, that's wild. So a 2% decrease compared to the same time period 1 year ago. And back 1 year ago, in fact, look at this. Home prices were up by 23%. I mean, wow, what a difference 1 year makes, right? Up by 23% compared to 2020, from 2020 to 2021. And now it's down a whopping not whopping, but a big difference, down by 2% compared to an increase of 23% in 2021. Let's also have a look at 2020 as well. Yeah, look at that. 2020, we were up by 21%. And on top of that, the next year increased again up to 23%, now down 2% compared to 2021. Let's also have a look at how much home prices have declined since May of this year, when we reached all-time record highs for home prices. So here's how we do that. $474,000 is the median sold price right now. Subtract that from the highs we saw back in May at $548,000. Wow, $548,000. That gives you that. Divide into $548,000 again, times 100 is a whopping 13.5%. So the median sold price in Boise, Idaho has decreased 13.5% since the highs we saw back in May of this year. And this is why I like sharing home price trends compared to the highs we saw back in May and June of this year, because looking at year-over-year changes really doesn't tell us the whole story here, because home prices down by 13.5% since May of this year, but on a year-over-year basis, only down by 2%. And also check this out, because I want to compare how that compares to 2019. Because look at this, back in the same time period in 2019, the median sold price was approximately, approximately $321,000. And at that time, home prices were up by 12% compared to 2018. So $321,000, and back during the peak, which is 529, ending more or less right here, home prices were at $303,000. So back in 2019, home prices actually increased to $303,000 up to $321,000. However, what a difference though, because home prices down by 13% or 13.5% during that same time frame. Let's also have a look at how fast or how slow houses are selling in Boise, Idaho. That's based on the median days in the market, which is based on closed home sales. Again, a lagging indicator here though. So days in the market, look at this, far higher compared to 2019, 2021, and 2020. So days in the market right now, wow, is 51 days. So right now it's taking approximately 27 days longer to sell a house compared to 1 year ago. 50.6 days is the median days in the market. Let's look at how fast it's been taking so far this year though, because look at this, 25 days would be right there, approximately, right there. So in other words, during the 4 weeks ended August 9th until the 4 weeks ended December 4th, days in the market has doubled. So in the span of just less than 4 months, days in the market has doubled in Boise, Idaho. And lastly, let's have a look at the average sale price to list price ratio in Boise. So on average, houses are selling approximately 2% below the seller's asking price. So the ratio right now is approximately 98%, which means houses on average selling 2% below the seller's asking price. 1 year ago, the ratio was approximately 99%. And back during the spring months this year, the ratio was around 100 to about 101%. And during the peak, which is more or less 2021, the ratio was actually over 102%, meaning houses on average selling 2% over the seller's asking price, whereas right now they're selling for about 2% below. Okay, that's the housing market for Boise, Idaho. It is slowing down big time. Let's also have a look at Denver, Colorado's housing market as well. So Denver, Colorado, new listings are down by 35% on a year-over-year basis, below 2019, as well as 2020 as well. So new listings are down by 35%, whereas if you recall, back in Boise, new listings were up by about 20%, I believe. But in Denver, down by about 35%. Let's look at active listings or housing inventory in Denver, though. And active listings are up. Wow, look at that, up by 69%. I mean, what a difference, right? I always talk about how each housing market is different in the U.S. Active listings in Boise, Idaho, were only up by about 5%. But in Denver, Colorado, up by 69%. That is pretty astonishing. Below or above 2020 and just below 2019's levels. Wow, active listings up by 69%. I'm guessing that pending home sales are absolutely tanking in Denver, Colorado, and there it is. Wow, down by 47% on a year-over-year basis here, below the past few years as well, below 2019, as well as 2020 and 2021. So pending home sales have been falling big time and actually have been below 2019 ever since really June of this year. So I'm guessing the share of price reductions in Denver, Colorado is absolutely through the roof. And look at that. Yeah, the share of price reductions right now is at 62% in Denver, Colorado. It still has been increasing here. It has a kind of steep increase right here, but the gains we saw more or less back in April, or let's just call it May, until we hit August of this year, we're increasing big time. But it's kind of sloughing off over the past few months here, or a few weeks here, but still at 62% right now. This is well above last year's levels at 42%. Back in 2020, it was 41%. And pre-COVID back in 2019, it was 51%. So the share of price reductions in Denver, Colorado is much higher compared to the past few years, just like Boise, Idaho. Let's have a look at home prices in Denver, Colorado as well. So here's the median sold price in Denver, Colorado, only up by 3% on a year-over-year basis here. Remember, Boise was down by 2%, and Denver is getting very close in getting to negative territory here, only up by 3% on a year-over-year basis here. And also look at this, because back in 2000, I know I say look at this too much. I'll try not to say that. Anyways, 2022, this year, up by 3%. Back in 2021, up by 18%. I mean, what a difference 1 year makes. Up by 18% last year compared to 2020, and now only up by 3%. And just like we did with Boise, Idaho, let's have a look at how much home prices have declined since the peak of this year, which in Denver was more or less back in June of this year. So the median sold price here in Denver, Colorado, right now is at $554,000. Subtract that from the peak, which is $617,000. Wow. Then divided by 617,000. Multiply that by 100 to give an average percentage here, down by 10.2%. So the median sold price in Denver, Colorado has decreased by 10.2% ever since June of this year. Now here's the big significance regarding this decrease, down by 10.2% from the highs we saw back in June of this year. Because when you compare home prices for that same time period in 2019, June to about December 5th of this year, or December 4th, I should say, home prices decreased by 2.8% in 2019 versus down by 10.2% in 2022. So it just goes to show how our housing market's slowing down so much more compared to 2019. Actually, we'd really love to share how this year compares to 2018, because back in 2018, our housing market did slow down because rates increased from about 4 to about 4.5%. By the end of 2018, whereas in 2019, rates were actually decreasing. Let's also have a look at how fast or how slow houses are selling in Denver, Colorado. So days in the market is at 28.5 days, which is pretty crazy because that means on average, houses are selling approximately 22 days longer right now compared to last year. So days in the market's 28 days. Compare this to 2021, days in the market was probably around 1 week. Yeah, look at that. 1 week 1 year ago. So on average, days in the market was more or less 7 days, and now it's a whopping 28 days. So houses taking approximately 22 days longer to sell compared to last year. And also days in the market has doubled ever since the 4 weeks ended September 4th. So days in the market has doubled in the last 3 months in Denver, Colorado. And on top of that, houses are taking longer to sell right now compared to the same time period in 2019. Back in 2019, days in the market was approximately 25 days, and now it's 28 days right now. Let's also have a look at the average sale price to list price ratio. Say that fast 20 times. Here's the average sale price to list price ratio, which is a nice acronym to say that. Anyways, average sale to list price ratio in Denver, Colorado is at 98%, meaning on average, houses are selling approximately 2% below the seller's asking price, which is so much different compared to April this year, when houses on average were selling for about 7% over the seller's asking price. That's crazy. Going from houses selling for about 7% over, now they're selling for about 2% below the seller's asking price. And also back in 2021 at this time, the ratio there was about 101%. Houses on average selling almost for 2% over the seller's asking price. And with that said, please comment below with your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you guys have any suggestions about cities you want me to cover in future videos, please leave me a comment below. Hope you guys have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you on the next video.